Good morning, my beautiful black people. Welcome to another edition of Money Church, brought to you by the Black Wealth Rebels. Today, we are talking about statements of cash flows. And so I know we talk a lot about scamming companies, companies with fugazi books, but one of the way to kind of see through all that is by knowing and using the statement of cash flow. So it'll definitely superpower your investment and trading capabilities. So before we get started, got to talk to the team. What's up, y'all?
Yeah, it was really good.
All right,
Just trying to share this to the page and whatnot. But go ahead though, man. How are you, Corey?
It's not on the page.
No, it's on there. I said I'm sharing it out, man. Make sure make sure it's tapped in.
Got you. So we did a wonderful thing yesterday, man. How y'all feeling?
Man,
go ahead, Corey.
Listen, I'm always supercharged after we do these classes, man, because you can see the light going off for the kids as we teaching it. You can see it, like, oh, it all makes sense. You know, when we start to bring everything together, terminology and how the world, really works as far as what money is concerned, and it all starts to come together for them, and they're like, oh, I get it now. You know what I mean? So those light bulb moments are everything for me, man.
Okay, so if y'all haven't been paying attention, y'all been living under a rock for the last couple of months, we're talking about the 2025 version of the Fatherhood Financial Literacy Camp. Yesterday was the first day of camp. All right, I know Jimmy's got some jokes.
I don't have no jokes. I'm chilling. I was laughing because
Corey's smiling because I'm right.
I'm just, I'm go ahead, bro. Just go ahead. Why? Don't play me no more.
In all seriousness, y'all did a wonderful thing yesterday. That was so dope.
What do you mean, y'all?
Shout out to
you was there, Kamar. Yes, we did a wonderful thing, man.
He trying to play humble. He trying to play humble.
I'm not playing humble. Listen, I'm giving y'all props in all seriousness because y'all taught the Cal class. Y'all kept the babies engaged. Y'all kept them laughing. Like, this wasn't no traditional dry ass seminar talking about money where people fall asleep. We got 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 14-year-olds, some of their parents in the room. Some of the parents were like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but I'm learning.
No, that was dope.
That's a wonderful thing. So listen, I'm just giving y'all flowers, man. Salutes to y'all. I'm proud to be working with y'all.
Hey, listen, man, appreciate that, man. It's always like I told you get fired up when every year we do this. You get fired up, you get inspired, and you learn. And there's always new kids that haven't been there before, and you get to see them like the light bulb go off, like Corey said. So it's just inspiring, man. And I know that next week you probably gonna have more people there because I had a lot of people saying they're coming, for the following week. So
correct.
It's gonna be this is gonna be our best camp yet. We got for those that were in person, they got a chance to feed them. They got a meal in, so I know that's important to me because I'm inspired by the Panthers and whatnot. So I like that part of it too. The whole thing is just dope, man. The facility was dope. Everything just man, no more to say. And the crazy part is like some of this footage, there's only a portion of it. We had over 60 kids. Yeah, over 60 kids.
In class and online.
Yep. Yeah. It was dope, man. So this is phenomenal, man. And I can't thank our village enough because the reason I keep bringing this up is because it's important to me and to understand that this is funded from our people. It's from us three and those in the village. Like, we haven't taken any corporate money. And the funny thing is we've had people offer it, but we said, nah, it's self-funded, self-organized. And I think that's important too, because a lot of times we spend too much time, I think, online complaining about things and not actually taking action. So this is like, we talk about organizing. This is organizing, right?
But I think also, Jim, not to cut you, I don't know if a lot of people online actually have the skills and know-how to take action now.
So here's the thing: you have to operate in your respective space, right?
I agree.
So I can't organize a lot of things, right? So I mean, who would I be looking like if I put together like a health camp or something? I couldn't do that, right? But what I can do is
you could.
No, bro. I'm the wrong person for that. But what I could do is this. Listen. Hear me out, though. Hear me out.
Hear me out. I'm gonna cut you off. Y'all got the kids there, and y'all been doing it for 10 years. All you would have to do is hire a wealth coach or exercise person.
I hear you, but this is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that's not my lane. But what I can do is, right, if I care about the community, I could find somebody in that lane and I can support them. I can support them whether it's monetarily, with my time or whatever. And that's why the reason I'm saying that is because I appreciate some of our folks because, listen, we've gotten donations as little as $5 and as high as $500, right? Yep. For people that was like, I love what you're doing. I can't do this, but I want to support because it's important. And all that money flows to the kids. We gave away cash prizes yesterday. Half of the kids already cashed out. I just got to catch up with the folks online, but we gave away cash prizes yesterday. They had pizza, they had fruit, it was just a great time.
I peeped what you did too, by the way.
You say what?
I peeped what you did too.
What's that?
You said you wanted to have pizza, so you made it the first day.
No, so I went over the menu with the caterer. They gave a bunch of different stuff for different weeks. I said, just mix it up. Because they asked me, did I want to do like one thing every week? I said, just mix it up. Pizza just happened to be week 1. But I say all that to say this.
How convenient.
I say all that to say this. I just want to thank our folks because our folks don't play about us. And I want everybody to know that it's definitely appreciated. From the financial donations to people just sharing the vision and the material online. I think that's just as important. So I just want to say thank you because, a lot of times when you do things online, people always like, man, they look at your numbers and your followers and all that. But what I'll say is, our folks don't play about us, right? And they put their money where their mouth is, and it's not necessarily to pay us because we don't take anything from this. But I mean, you guys help fund something in the community for the camp, and also outside of our community here in Philadelphia, right? We got folks all over the nation that tuned in on the virtual joint, so it's really a great thing. And I mean, it's funny though, because I got some messages yesterday. It's business leaders and politicians want to come talk to the kids now. I think that's dope too, right? So they see what we're doing, and man, it's going to get bigger and better, man. It's going to get bigger and better, and the kids are actually learning, and that's also dope.
That's a fact. All right. Well, enough about the camp. We're going to get into it today. Jimmy's got a wonderful presentation for us, as usual. So what are we talking about today, Jim?
So we're going to talk about cash flow statement or statement of cash flows, depending upon who you ask. People like to say it different. I know, a lot of my accountant folks be like, statement of cash flows. We're going to talk about the cash flow statement, which is a very important thing. Shout out to everybody in the village. I want to say this before we even get into the proceedings this evening. I want to say a couple of things. First off, I want to say shout out to Supplement, right, for being a sponsor of our show. This is a Black-owned bottle company. They make great quality bottles. Top of the line, you know what I'm saying, roll off whatever. But you can go to getsupplement.com. If you want to support us that way, support us by supporting our sponsor as well. And again, this is a Black-owned company. We're big on supporting our own. So getsupplement.com. I want to shout them out. Also, I want to say join the village if you're not in the village, right? I'm looking at his AKA. You out of AKA Otis. You out of pocket right now, Kamari. Join the village though, right? And the village is, where we build. Also, the other thing about the village is this: the recordings of all the classes for the camp will be in the village for members of our village, no matter what tier you are, because we want to make sure that our youth have access to every class. That's where they'll live. They'll live in the village as well. So go to blackwealthrebels.com. That's blackwealthrebels.com to join the village. And also we have other content we put there as well. I got some stuff dropping today, for the paid tier. But that's neither here nor there. But all tiers get the access to the camp. So let's get into today's topic. Corey and Kamari, I need you guys to maintain the chat because I'm going in presentation mode right now.
All right, real quick, everybody. So when we are doing the camp, we do stream it live to our main channel, which is the Black Wolf Rebels channel on YouTube. So make sure everybody streams that. Also, we did kind of a surprise stream on Friday as well, but we only did it to the Black Wolf Rebels channel. And shout out to Don. I know Don and a couple other people caught that. Jimmy was blabbiscating on me that day. Go ahead,
it was trash. It was trash. He was trying. Kamari doesn't got all this new technology. Has no idea how it works. So, but
What we talking about?
Nothing, man. Yo, anyway,
I kind of take offense to that, man. It's kind of
listen, man. Nobody's perfect.
Really? That's
nobody's perfect, bro.
Okay. All right.
Listen, man, let's go, man. I'm trying to present right now, man.
I feel like I gotta vindicate myself.
No, you trying to turn this into a Friday, bro. I'm trying to get into the class. This is class day. This is the Sunday Finance Church.
All right, go ahead. Get busy.
See, you want to be disrespectful, man. But listen, man, God bless. I'm going to get into the presentation, man.
Get busy.
All right, cool. All right. Let's get it. All right. So let me know when you can see my presentation mode. I'm good to go.
You good to go.
All right. So today we're going to talk about understanding cash flow statements for financial analysis. We've talked about a lot of things on Sunday as it pertains to breaking down companies, looking at investments, how to really dig deep into their books. Because a lot of times we see that people invest in companies just by saying, hey, I like what they make, let me go buy that, but never really take the time to break down their financial statements. So we went over everything from an income statement, we went over a balance sheet, but now we're going to talk about cash flow statements. And some will tell you that a cash flow statement is the most important statement that there is. Kamari, I don't know, do you agree with that?
On different days I do. So
okay.
between cash flow and the balance sheet.
Okay, between cash flow and the balance sheet.
Yeah, the two.
Right, interesting, right? So my wife has 2 MBAs, so she's trained in the management as well as finance. And I was talking to her about what I was going to talk about this morning, and her perspective was that the cash flow statement is the most important statement in her opinion. And I was like, that's so then I went to find. I was like, why people feel that way? But anyway, so the cash flow statement is a comprehensive guide to interpreting and leveraging the statement of cash flows for investment decisions and trading strategies. So what we're going to do is talk about the cash flow statement and reveal other financial documents. The other financial documents miss things that you catch on the cash flow statement. And we're going to talk about that and why it's important to really look at the cash flow statement in any company that you invest in. Before I move forward, I do want to say this. This is not investment advice. Anything that I say here is for educational and informational purposes only. We are not your fiduciaries. We're just talking about how to look at a company, but it's for educational, informational purposes only. And also, I want to start by saying something I say every Sunday when we do our free class, which is, when you look at buying a stock, you're buying ownership in a company. You're buying ownership in a company, right? It's not just some random esoteric number that floats out there and you buy X number. You're buying ownership of a company. And I always start with that because when you talk about looking at financial statements, always think about, if I own this entire company, I would do this analysis. So even if you own a fraction of said company, I don't care if you own 1 share, you want to still do the same financial analysis because you want to know that you are putting your money somewhere that can grow, can generate income, or whatever your desired result is, but that management is being smart with your capital. So let's talk about the cash flow statement. The cash flow statement is made up of 3 main parts. So the statement of cash flow is a financial statement that tracks how cash moves in and out of a company over a specific period. Stop there for a second. Over a specific period. And like I talk about with the income statement and the balance sheet, you always want to track these things over a long period of time. We're not just looking at things in a vacuum, but it's over a specific period. Unlike the income statement that shows profitability, this document reveals the actual cash movement. So it's not just about profitability, it's about the cash movement. And sometimes we look at an income statement, sometimes they can tell a lie, but a cash statement will give you more of the truth. So I call it the truth statement. So the first part of it, remember, it's made up of 3 parts. The first part is the operating activities. So this shows cash generated from core business operations, such as revenue from sales and payment to suppliers, right? So this talks about your core business. Your operating activities is one part. The other part is your investing activities. So this is cash that's used to acquire or sell long-term assets like property, equipment, or investment in other companies, right? That's the other part, the second part of your cash flow statement. The third part is your financing activities. Cash flows related to funding the business. So this is debt issuance and repayment and equity transactions. So there's 3 main parts.
And don't forget about dividends, Jimmy.
Yes, dividends are a part of that as well. So there's operating, investing, and financing. Those are the 3 parts of your cash flow statement. So the reason I say that other statements can lie is because when you start to dig into these 3 parts, you can see things that, may make their way into the income statement, but it's not necessarily true. So digging into this, I would say, and then looking at the income statement can give you 2 different pictures, but you want to see how your company is handling the cash that it has, right? They're operating a huge entity, but the main thing is cash. What are they doing with the cash that comes into said business? How are they investing that cash? How are they using that to finance, the business? So these are the three main parts. So when you think about a cash flow statement, you want to maybe have three branches: operating, investing, and financing. That's one way to think about that. So cash is king, not just profit. So we're going to talk about this from the standpoint of a long-term investor as well as someone that's a trader. So a company may report significant profits but struggle with cash collection. The cash flow statement reveals whether reported profits translate to actual cash or merely accounting entries. Let's slow down right there, for my accounting and tax folks, man, because some of y'all be playing games, right? And here's why, right? So all you guys know, I come from a real estate background. So the main business that I am familiar with is real estate and all aspects of real estate. I'm familiar with those businesses. Like I always tell you, real estate is not the greatest investment, but to me, it's the greatest business. Let me get back into that. One of the things I always find interesting when I talk to real estate investors, they'll look at a property and they'll say, I can finance this property. It will cost me $700 a month. I can rent this property for $1,400 a month. I make $700 a month. That's not how that works. That's not your cash flow. Are you looking at what it costs to run that business, right? Are you looking at, your financing? Are you looking at, the investment that you have to make back into said business? What I'll tell you is 90% of the people I talk to in real estate don't understand this, which is why they're never able to scale a business. And by scaling a business, I don't mean getting more doors. I mean getting more revenue and making your business more valuable, right? So if you have expenses such as taxes, such as insurance, also reserve for replacements, certain things you're going to have to replace, whether that's a roof, whether that's a heating system, are you putting up for that, right? And what I've seen, and I had a conversation with an investor this past week who cash flows nice on a property, makes about $500 a month on this property, right? At least he thought that was his cash flow. So you think about this, $500 over a year is $6,000. He had a repair he had to make, right? He had a wall he had to fix. The wall cost him about $5,500 to replace, right? And there was nothing he could do about it. He had to get it done. And the conversation I was having with him was, well, did you put up, if you've been collecting this cash over this last several years, have you put up anything for it? He says, no. I said, so basically, you're going to give up damn near a year of income. Your whole year is shot. And your year is shot because you're not thinking about the expenses that come with the business. Now, that's a real estate example, but that's
a year of profit, Jim.
A year of profit, because you have to put that back into the business because you haven't been doing that as you've been building your business. That's a real estate example, but this applies across all businesses, right? If I'm running a pharmacy and I'm just taking the money and I'm just paying it to myself in terms of, revenue or dividends or things like that, but I'm not putting up for when things go wrong, am I truly running a business or am I hustling? I'm going to repeat that again. Am I truly running a business or am I just hustling? One more time, like Umar. Am I truly running a business or am I just hustling? Hustling and running a business are two different things. Me and Kamari were having a conversation about the model of profit first, right? Because I told him, I said, I know the model. I've watched several YouTube videos, but I said, I'm going to go back and read the book Profit First. And I was talking to him about the book Profit First and how, based on the title, you can tell what that book is about. But part of that strategy is always putting up for what they call OpEx, right? Operating expenses. So when you look at a business, right, and even though we're talking about publicly traded companies, you want to see how they handle their OpEx. What kind of money are they putting up? Not investment advice, but I'm always interested to look at like Meta, right, as an example. And the way Meta runs their business is very, to me, is very powerful. They keep a lot of cash on hand. They have a lot of money for operating expenses, and they're printing money hand over fist. I mean, some of you right now are watching this on one of their platforms. Yeah. But I say all that to say this. Whether we're talking about a small investment of a corner store or someone that sells t-shirts, or whether we're talking about a big conglomerate like Meta, some of these principles apply and work the same way. They both have to have cash flow statements. If you actually have a business and you're taking this class or watching this right now, do you have a cash flow statement? Do you have all of your data written out? Be honest. By the way, for those in the chat, leave me a comment in the chat. If you run a business, do you have all your stuff written out? I want y'all to be honest. See who's willing to tell the truth. All right. So the cash flow also matters because it helps you to track your financial health. Positive operating cash flow indicates a self-sustaining business, while negative operational cash flow could signal problems, unless it's a growth stage company that's deliberately reinvesting. The example I use for that is like Amazon. When you go back to the early days of Amazon, they poured everything back into the growth of the company. So the cash flow statement probably didn't look, spectacular then, but to be Bobby then, you got to be Bobby now. Anyway, but I say that to say this, that's a specific example. Most people, right? It all depends upon where you're pouring your cash back into. Are you reinvesting in the business, or are you out here just trying to look like you got money?
Now, Jim, I want to nerd out for a minute.
Yes, go ahead.
This is an important
Nerd
point.
out.
I'm not sure if you want to get to this or not, but for our traders and investors in publicly traded companies, all publicly traded companies are on what's called the accrual method.
Mm-hmm.
Why this is important, right? So there's two overall accounting methods to categorize your financial transactions. You have cash, where you're collecting and recording the money that comes in and the money that actually goes out. That's cash method. The accrual method is money that is billed, or money that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Money is recognized, is what they use in accounting.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if you issue an invoice for, let's say, $1 million, right? If you're Meta, you issue an invoice for $1 billion, you're going to recognize that $1 million of income.
Yes.
However, this is why the income statement is kind of cheesy. You don't have that money in your bank account, or you may not have it in your bank account for a while, right? And so, for all the investors, that's important to know. That's why the statement of cash flows or cash flow statements actually is better than the income statement, because they tell you the actual factuals.
Yeah. So I always like to break it down to his very last compound, as KRS. I'm sorry. Anyway, here's the thing.
That is my favorite, by the way.
Here's the thing. Suppose you have a corner store, and I don't know how many of y'all grew up, in an environment I grew up, but a lot of corner stores. Poppy would give you credit. Like, you could literally run a tab with Poppy. So now Poppy's doing his books, and Poppy say, "Yo, Jimmy owe me about $200, right? But I'm counting that as cash, right? It's a difference between me paying Poppy the $200 and Poppy just having an IOU. You know what I mean? Or if you're in a different business and you give consignment, No,
but go back to Poppy for a minute.
I'm sorry, I was about to go somewhere I probably shouldn't. So go ahead, though. I'm sorry. I apologize. Go ahead, though.
So it will be recorded as sales. So you go and you buy a loaf of bread, some milk. Poppy records it as sales or revenue. But again, Poppy didn't get the cash. So oftentimes it inflates a lot of things. Jim mentions Enron. I like to talk about WorldCom. If you both know about them, if you don't, look them up. They both were running sham businesses back in the, 90s or 2000s?
That was the early 2000s.
Yeah, they were both running scam businesses. They were reporting money that they never received. They were creating fake invoices, especially Enron, for money that they allegedly billed, but they never got back. So again, that's why this is important.
Also, I want to shout out Moons, the corner store at Morton and Tappahannock. They used to let me run a tab back in the day, but I digress. I mean, I never thought I would have an opportunity to give them a shout out, but shout out to them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I got me all kinds of Mr. G's and Mountain Dews back in the day, but I digress. So the point is, do you actually have the cash, or do you just have an IOU, right? And it's important to track this, because if I'm investing in a company and all they have is IOUs, I'm like, doggy, when you gonna collect this cash? Like, what we doing? We gotta send Dog the Bounty Hunter out there. Like, I want this bread. Now, when evaluating investments, savvy analysts look beyond the headline profit of numbers to determine if a business is truly generating cash or burning through reserves. This distinction becomes critical during market downturns when access to external capital tightens. So when the market tightens, right, and all you have is IOUs, what's the likelihood of you getting paid those IOUs, right? And a lot of these things are important because people from Kamari's ilk, not speaking to Kamari, and I'm talking about his profession, they like to play a lot of games, man. They like to play a lot of games with the numbers. So we got to really make sure we're doing great evaluation and make sure those accountants and those CPAs and those EAs and all those folks ain't doing these games that they like to play,
Well, so, that's not really us. That's corporate. All right.
I just want to get a rise out of you, Paul. I knew that would trigger you. I'm just messing with you, bro.
Your average Poppy shop, your average, dry cleaners, they're not doing accrual, so they shouldn't worry about that. The problem with them because they might not have any books at all.
That's a fact. I was just messing with you when I said that. By the way,
I know you're a whole troll and a bully. I know.
Listen, no. Here you go. I want everybody in the comment section. Everybody in the comment section. I want you to be honest. If you're running a business, do you have your stuff in writing? I want to see you being honest. But let's get into it, right? So here's some advanced insights you can get from a cash flow analysis, right? Management decisions. Cash flow patterns reveal executive priorities. Are they investing heavily in new equipment, taking on debt, paying dividends? These activities provide clues about management strategy and risk tolerance. This is also a story from Amazon. When you would go back to Amazon's books and they didn't have a lot of cash flow because they were reinvesting in the business, they were reinvesting heavily in this thing back then that no one really understood what it was, but it was called AWS. Why are they putting so much money in AWS? And, once they unleashed it, AWS is probably their most profitable thing they have at this point. But
talk about a cash cow.
Yeah, but they invested heavily into that early on, right? Again, I always tell the story. All of my stuff is in home runs. I've made a lot of mistakes as an investor. One of my biggest mistakes was one of the people that mentored me in investing told me to buy Amazon when it was $12 a share. And if I would have bought $1,000 then, I probably would have several $1 million at this point. This is years and years ago. And my exact words to him is, why am I going to buy a company that sells books? Once Barnes & Noble gets online, Amazon won't be here. So yeah, I sound like an idiot in hindsight, but hindsight is 2020. I say all that to say this. I didn't realize that they were, scaling one business and realizing like, okay, we're great at selling books. We can do this with everything and we can build out this behemoth, right? In terms of AWS. And now it's a cash cow. So, but if you understood that and you sat on their calls, you listened to the vision of the CEO, you read the books and you see what they were actually building, which I didn't understand how to do at that time, then we have a different story. So management decisions, you can get a lot of information by doing all the things I just said, but also looking at where they're putting their cash. Where are they putting their cash, right? Helps you do a forensic analysis. Discrepancies between reported earnings and cash flow often expose accounting manipulations before they become public scandals, right? Kamari just talked about this. I don't need to really dig deeper. He talked about this, like looking at the cash flow and then comparing it to say the income statement, and then you can see where there could be some discrepancies there. A lot of times what's funny, I was watching, by the way, one of the best finance shows too, but a lot of people don't recognize it because everybody loves Billions and also because it was a comedy. But you guys ever watch Black Monday on Showtime with Don Cheadle?
Of course.
Phenomenal. And I was watching it last night, as a matter of fact, and just like laughing because he was like, he learned everything about trading and investing from Run DMC, right? But that's a whole other thing. But the guy said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Because it's tricky." But the thing about it is, one of the statements he made was I was watching the show was talking about like the manipulation of accountants in these companies. So, but if you could look at the statements and figure that out beforehand, you can set yourself apart. But another thing he said on the show, when we bring the show up, is he said a lot of times people know this stuff and they don't dig deeper because they don't want to know. And I think about that as it pertains to Bernie Madoff. If you ever watched that great documentary, I think it's on Max about Bernie Madoff, where I don't know if it's on Max or Hulu, one of them, but they talk about the fact that a lot of people knew, but a lot of people didn't want to like fully know. So like, we're making so much money, let's not dig deeper. But if you're putting your money up, right, because you're trying to build something for yourself and your family, you better take this stuff serious, right? Everybody's okay when they're making money, but when things go the other way, how many of your quote unquote internet gurus now are into the church or they're doing other things because we had the market went sideways or went down for a little bit of time. Now what they do is they find a whole other hustle.
Come on, man, that's not sexy to be consistent.
So it also gives you a liquidity risk assessment. For traders concerned with short-term viability, cash flow statements reveal if a company can meet immediate obligations. So a strong cash flow provides a buffer even when debt levels are significant. So again, I think about real estate with this. If you own a piece of real estate and you're a landlord, if something happens and you got to put a whole new heater in, are you going to be SOL? Or
whoa, you talking about me now? Are you using me?
Come on.
Listen, I
didn't even know you was going through that, but it sounds like you kind of exposing yourself, man.
I mean, it's not my fault. I had a gas leak. I got shut down during tax season, and then it wound up costing me about $5,000.
I wasn't even talking about you, bro. Like, if you want to tell your story, tell your story. You want to testify, then testify.
No, I'm good. But you know what? Real quick. You just mentioned Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle probably has besides Eddie Murphy, some of the best financial footage and content out there, y'all.
Absolutely.
So check out Black Monday. But you got to check out House of Lies also,
Go.
which is equally hilarious, but that focuses more on management consulting and what they do, how they bilk a lot of these publicly traded companies.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I love when he goes in, he writes an Excel spreadsheet and then charges him like 10 million. But but it's also funny because Don Cheadle must be really heavy in the finance because I see that he's invested a lot of time and energy in turn. First of all, Don Cheadle is one of the top 5 to 10 actors in Black Hollywood by far, probably top 3. Up there with Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright's up there.
Jeffrey Wright's probably number 1. I go back and forth between who's number 1. That's a whole. We can do this for a whole other show. Let's take this. Let's take that to the village. Who's our top 5 to 10 Black actors in Black Hollywood? We're gonna take that behind the village. But I point that out to say that show is phenomenal, and a lot of that is in there. But I bring up the liquidity thing for real estate, and I wasn't talking about you, Kamari, because I've seen this over my 20+ year career. How many people, well-intentioned people, smart people, just don't think about the downturn. Right? When things are going great, they're doing great. They're buying doors. I got 50 doors. I got 70 doors. A couple of tenants don't pay on time. You get a roof repair. You get a leak here.
Or tenants die.
Whole business. Yeah. Yo, I don't know what kind of stuff Kamari going through. Like Kamari took over a portfolio and he's suffering things within the last year that I haven't had in 15 years. I don't know what's going on with you, bro. Like you got a black cloud over your head or something, dog?
Listen, man, tenants, like maybe, I don't know. That's why I'm more conservative, because I do believe everybody kind of has a vibe or their own thing. And I know what can go wrong will absolutely fucking go wrong. Yeah. So
y'all heard the passion. Y'all heard the passion of how he said that. Listen, I might be the most conservative real estate investor there is. I don't take any profit from it. I know that goes counter to profit first, but everything goes back into the business because I'm always waiting for something to go wrong. Because I've realized in talking to Kamari that I may be more pessimistic than he is. And I don't want to say pessimistic. I have more anxiety. There you go. Let's use that word. Anyway,
you might have more anxiety, but I'm probably more conservative.
Possibly. All right. Let's go with that. Anyway, the bottom line is liquidity risk assessment. If we're looking at a publicly traded company, how liquid are they? Right? We often talk about the amount of cash, the amount of pure cash that Berkshire has sitting on its books, but they're prepared for a downturn. They're prepared. In fact, they're prepared if you have a major downturn where they can make acquisitions, where they could buy huge percentages of companies because they're prepared for something to go wrong and also prepared to take action. So that liquidity is important. And it's funny because one of the things about loving finance, being a finance nerd, is my perspective changes over time. The way that I thought about finance, business, real estate 15, 20 years ago, I don't think about it that way at all. I didn't even really think about liquidity the way I do now. I'm super high on liquidity right now, which is why I'm kind of personally making a transition into more paper assets. So again, other stuff that could be a whole show. But sector comparisons, let's talk about that. Cash flow metrics allow for standardized comparisons between companies with different accounting practices or operating in different regions. Kamari already thoroughly explained that. What we're doing is we're looking out for these shady accountants. You know what I'm saying? Who try to stash more cash than Burke Bedell. Although I heard Burke Bedell is an amazing accountant. That's no shade at him. I just wanted to get the Biggie bar off. But that's either here nor there. Understanding cash flow patterns across multiple reporting periods provides investors with deeper insights than single quarter snapshots. We talked about that with every part of this, whether it's income statement, balance sheet, now statement of cash flows. We want to look at it over multiple reporting periods. All of our decisions are long-term decisions. Now, if you're a trader, then maybe you can find something quickly that you want to make a move on. But as an investor, multiple reporting periods is what we want to look at and see how it shifts, how it changes, or if they're just doing copy and paste. Because it's funny. We put a value on these publicly traded companies, but when you start to pull back the books, you realize that they're all run by people. And people are going to people, to quote Corey Kent, people are going to people. And the fact that people are going to people, they will try to get stuff over. I mean, they will literally copy and paste sometimes because they're like, nobody's reading it. Because again, most people don't read things. So be careful out there. That's what I want to say. So valuation models and trading signals. So improved valuation analysis. Many sophisticated valuation models are built on projected future cash flows rather than accounting income. Free cash flow, a cash a company generates after accounting for capital expenditures, is particularly valuable for assessing a company's long-term investment potential. So We talk about buying leaps a lot. If you see something in their cash flow statement, this can be, you can put this as part of your model to determine what you're going to do, whether you want to make a move or not. Metrics such as price to free cash flow ratios often provide more reliable valuation insights than traditional PE ratios. So this is especially for companies that have significant non-cash expenses like depreciation or amortization. Watch out for that. Shout to depreciation too, though. So here's some key takeaways. If as a financial analyst, as we're talking about making people financial analysts, right? And not licensed or anything like that. It's not what we're saying. We're talking about if you're looking at investing in the company, you have to put on your analysis hat. So cash flows reveal actual business performance beyond accounting adjustments. So it gives you a clear picture of this company's financial health. You want that clear picture. It also helps you with red flag detection. So if you see a divergence between reported profits and operating cash flow, this tells you that there are accounting irregularities or there's a problem with their business model. And if you see this over a period of time, I can do on socials all the time. Those red flags go up. You know what I'm saying? So timing insights, cash flow patterns help determine optimal entry and exit positions for both long-term as well as short-term traders, long-term investors and short-term traders. So you can use the cash flow to put in your model to figure out your entry and exit points. So the framework, evaluation framework, free cash flow provides the foundation for more accurate company valuations and more reliable investment decisions. One of the things I like to tell people is this: when you start to going down this rabbit hole of looking at income statements, balance sheets, your cash flows, and you compare it to companies within the same sector, one of the things you should do, you should put a price that you believe the company is worth per share, right? So let's just say that X company is selling for $50 a share. When you do your analysis, do you think it's worth $50 a share, or do you think it's worth $30 a share, or do you think it's worth $120 a share? Because if it's worth $120 a share and it's selling for $50 a share, you should try to buy as many as possible if that's what your analysis tells you. But I say that when you do your analysis, start from nothing and then see what it comes for you. See what that property is worth to you, right? Going back to a real estate example, people put their property on the market for whatever they want to. But what I'll do is start from zero. What do I think this property is worth? Now, then I go back and say, okay, you're asking X. In my opinion, is worth Y. Either that's higher than your X or lower than your X, but that'll help me make my decision in terms of whether I want to buy. Because again, we're all talking about buying low and selling high, or buying high and selling higher. That's the objective. So,
how much weight do you put on overall market sentiment when you're putting in an offer for real estate?
To me personally, none.
So you're not thinking about what the market will bear for this property.
So when you say market sentiment, is it my sentiment or what the market? So I do use my. So let me back up because I see what you're asking now. So
yeah, I'm sorry, I worded it wrong.
I use the actual data that comes from the market, but market sentiment to me and actual data are different, right? Because you know what, Jimmy? How people feel about what's going on within a specific market. To me, I look at the raw data. What does the data tell me? You can tell me you feel like this neighborhood is going in the right direction, and we're going to see this in 5 years. What is it paying right now? What are the properties renting for at this current moment in the market? So if I put my property in the market, I know I can get the same thing, right? Now, I'm always looking to get a deal, which is why I don't acquire as much property as I used to, because to me, there hasn't been that many great deals out there. In fact, I'm finding better deals in other markets. So, as much as I love the real estate business, like specifically how it's moving, the deals aren't there. I used to be able to go out literally, and I could buy a whole house for $30K. Whole house. I might put 10, 15K in it. I'm in it for $45K, and I put a 10 in there. Yeah, and I literally double my money. Them days are over. It's a lot. Listen, social media ruined that too, because there's a lot of fake gurus and hard money lenders who are running scams out here. But I digress. But the bottom line is, getting back to our presentation, for successful investing and trading, follow the cash. And that often leads to better decisions than focusing solely on reported profits or asset values. People could tell you their asset is worth whatever they want to tell you it's worth. But what does the cash say? What does the cash say?
Where the cash at?
Yeah. Remember, cream. Cream is the adage in terms of what we're talking about. It's about cream, man. It's about getting that cream. With that being said, though, we got some any questions or comments? Also, I want to see if anybody else is willing to answer that. Like, do they have their stuff in writing in terms of their business?
Well, what up, Anthony? Anthony says yes, 98% is him, 2% is AI.
I think that was only. Let's see.
Oh no, Anthony answered as well. He was being honest.
Okay.
All right. So, I appreciate the honesty, right? Because here's the thing, and that's not judging anyway. Because one thing I can tell you in my experience is most people don't. In fact, for years I didn't. I had this. I told y'all this last week, and I hate to keep saying this because it's not paid. I have a love affair with Google Sheets. So I've been using that to kind of do everything now. So I keep all of my analysis and things in Google Sheets. I'm trying to find a way to do like everything in Google Sheets. I just love the product. And I know like people are like, well, it's Excel. It's not though. It's just not though.
It's actually, it makes the case for not even buying Excel or Microsoft.
Man, listen, I pay for Microsoft now, and I'm sitting there like, why do I? Right?
I do too. But
I'm gonna tell you why I do though. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's kind of laziness because we got a bunch of stuff that's stored in Microsoft OneDrive, and it's like I gotta go through it and move it over to Google Drive. But I gotta figure out, is there a way to do that? Is there a way to bulk do that? Could I bulk take everything in OneDrive, move it to Google Drive like with one push instead of having to go through each thing? Is that possible?
Yeah, but you probably still want to have Microsoft because so much of the world still runs on it. And
I'm a rebel. I'm a Black Wealth rebel. I'm going against the grain.
Okay, well, good luck on that. Because some formatting will throw it all off. But yeah,
man, listen, I'm gonna bend them to my will. Here's what I will say about Google Sheets, though, specifically is in the finance sector, because there's Google Finance. I love pulling in information from Google Finance and just have it show up on my sheet. That's how I track my entire portfolio. Anyway, some of these comments, man. That is the statement of cash flows. So Don is in the building. What up, Don?
I got a jump.
Family. Ant's in the building. What up, man? Oh, come on, you got it. You can go through. You got it.
Miss Valley, what's up?
Rain.
Jarrell.
Hey, Corey, you muted, by the way. Jarrell, what up, Jarrell? Shout out to Jarrell. I mean, these are all village members. You know what I mean? Good morning. Yes, the camp is going well. Shout out to the Nate gang. You might have to get the fireworks for your kids in the forest.
Oh, Lord. Is there any show that we don't mention Nate? Like honorary member?
Larry, what's up, Larry? Yo, side note, y'all see the rapper, but what's his name? Four something. He blew his hand off messing with fireworks.
Who?
What's the rapper's name?
Now that was funny. We just talked about that, and I said that I didn't see that at all, though.
Yeah, man.
What up, Rich?
His name is 4Extra.
He is lacking a digit.
No, an appendage.
Blew his hand off messing with fireworks, man.
Damn. God bless him. Shout out to him. Jeez.
Somebody said,
what kind of a session do people have with explosives?
I don't know, bro.
Hold it, bro.
And the internet ain't cool. Somebody put on the internet, now he need 4 extra hands. Well, I'm sorry, 4 extra fingers, but whatever. But either way.
What up, Darren?
Darren, what's up, Darren? How are you?
That's crazy. That's it,
4 extras.
Wow.
Jesus Louises, man. Like what possession?
He's not even a real rapper then, huh? He one of them dudes that like I rap. It's just a way to say, you know.
I rap and I do crime. Jeez.
What kind of stupid do you gotta be to hold on to an explosive?
So he said fireworks are addictive. I could see that, right? But here's the other thing. I was talking to Kamari about this the other day. I said I've seen like the youth in Philly on back blocks, right? Put on fireworks shows that are just as good as some of the professionals. And I'm like, I don't know anything about that space, but I'm like, yo, somebody should harness that and let them know that that's actually a profession. They have some skills that can be used.
Man, listen, I've also seen the youth on the back blocks by the Roman candles and then have a damn laser tag fight with the Roman candles.
That happens too. Let's not act like it doesn't. Let's be honest.
With the pew pews, like they out here with the Roman candles and firing them joints at each other.
Man, look, it was a young boy back Dogtown. He was like a young pyrotechnic. He would put on shows, and I'm like, this should be harnessed somehow. You could make a career out of this, young man. Like, what's wrong with you? He did it just because he's trying to get love on the street, like, you know what I'm saying?
That's why exposure is everything, because a lot of them don't realize they can make it a real profession, a real earning.
R.I.P. Young Noble. Yo, how many outlaws are left at this point?
Gaddafi, right? Gaddafi.
Yeah, that's about it.
It's at least like 3 of them plus popcorn. Yeah, it's wild, bro. Yeah, I don't know, what kind of energy they put out there, but a lot of them is out of here early too. They're not like older men.
Not at all. Not at all.
You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that was a statement of cash flows. We talked about the camp. What else we got going on, gentlemen?
The camp. The camp.
Yeah, the camp is everything right now. The camp is everything. I do want to put this out here for those that may have missed week 1. You still can sign up. You got to sign up by sending us an email now.
No, I'm gonna set it up, but I also set
open
it
back up. Okay, all right.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. Remember?
Yeah, and you told me everybody email. That's what you said.
Yeah, in the interim.
That's what you said. I'm following directions.
Listen, man, I was digging through trash yesterday, man. Again.
Listen, you didn't even have to. You didn't have to. I took care of you, man. I fixed your problem.
Actually, you didn't, but I love the way you're going to run with it and do your social media guru thing. So
I'm not doing a social media guru thing. Listen, Kamari had an issue yesterday, right?
No. Shout out to Jim for being my homie, even though he slanders the shit out of me. He always got my back. So I will give him that, right? True homie fashion.
Thank you. I that's on the record, by the way. That's on the record.
That's for the record.
Yeah, I gotta go make that some content. I gotta go make that some content. Yeah, that's going on my story.
Young lady tracked me down. I still don't even know. I talked to her too. She's cool. She's real cool.
Mm-hmm.
I had a tenant that passed. Just to give everybody context, I was away when the tenant passed. Police came, got access to the property. They removed the body and everything. I wasn't there. The family didn't know about it. Somehow this lady tracked down me with Jim doing the camp, and then called Jim, and then Jim called me. So shout out to Jim.
I made the connection, man. Listen, see, it's because I'm outside, so all my information is online. She's like, I found your number, and I need you do great things with Kamari. I'm trying to find Kamari. I got you. Calm down.
So here's the other thing. She called me too. She called my office number, but it was Saturday. I know you,
listen, you big red. I get it. You big red. You big red. I get it.
No. I want to be big red when I grow up because my office hours will be 9 to 5.
Listen, she called my office too. What I got down on the internet is my office hours. Is my second phone that's right in my lap. That's right.
See, you should tell people that. Now that's out there for the internet to see.
If I don't want to answer it, I don't have to answer it. You know what I'm saying?
But now they're gonna know you ducking them, and you got the phone.
I'm not ducking you. If I'm busy, I'm busy. You know what I'm saying? I got.
You will get that return phone call whenever I get back to it.
Anyway, man, shout out to her. Rest in peace to your tenant, man. It sounded like a nice lady according to her.
She was, and so that was the granddaughter. I talked to the mother actually the day before because the granddaughter came and talked to my neighbors. So shout out to the neighbors as well. I got some good neighbors.
There you go, man. Shout out to everybody, man. That's we talk about community. That's community for you.
Yep.
For our folks though, if you're not in the village, please join the village by going to blackwealthrebels.com. We got to go to blackwealthrebels.com. We got a lot to talk about. We got to record some village exclusive content because we got a lot of things going on in the world. You know what I'm saying? We got labor union striking. We got Diddy coming home. We got people that
Diddy is not coming home. What are you doing?
Listen, the reason I say that is because I've seen several people that testified against him or said something who said they are in fear of their life.
Maybe oil celebration.
No, they said they are in fear for their life. I was like, when the dancing bull become the boogeyman like that? Folks is out here I fear for my life.
Well, hold on. Did you see Toure, the journalist boy?
No, what'd he say?
So he ran into one of Diddy's best friends, and Diddy sent the message to Toure. Toure, not to be confused with Toure. Toure, right? He said to tell Toure that everything's good, which is extra in and of itself.
I don't know if that's a threat or you know what I'm saying?
Supposedly it was cool because Toure was out there talking kind of sleazy.
I don't know, dog. I'm from listen, where I'm from, if somebody tell you, no, we cool, it's good, yep. That means something different.
Yep. Yeah, man. It means I need to strap up or and keep my head on a swivel.
Or move out. Strap up, move out. Right yeah.
So it's a lot going on. We gotta talk about. We also got a video that's already actually done. I'm just waiting for Kamari to send me what he got to send me.
I sent it to you already.
No, you didn't. You sent me the thumbnail. You didn't send me that.
Yo, you be lying on me a lot, man. I'm noticing that, but I know it's all lies.
All I'm saying is the content is done. It will be out. So please join the village, blackwealthrebels.com. A lot of content coming there. Week 1, the lesson from week 1 of the camp will be out there for those that register for the camp. They'll get the email about it, but you'll see it pop up if you're in the village too, because everything will be housed in the village. All the content we create, some is for free, some is for the paid, but some is in the community. Everything will find its home in the village of blackwealthrebels.com. Even our pod classes, once we get through those will be in the village. The village is where everything will live. So we're trying to push everybody there also because these social media sites are playing games with us. So blackwealthrebels.com. Also share with the family. And if you have anyone that has a youngster that's still looking to get into the camp, they can watch the recording from week 1 and still catch up. You know what I'm saying? So, that's what I got, man. You gentlemen got anything else y'all want to say?
Get in the village, y'all. There's lots of jewels and gems and love in the village.
Yes, blackwealthrebels.com.
Man, listen, man. Help us make us great again, man. I don't care nothing about whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
we never.
No. Listen, man. We really need to work together, man. Like, with the zombie apocalypse is not upon us, but we are at end stage capitalism right now, bro.
Man,
like we are at end stage, and if y'all want to do a show about that, I can give you some information about how Ronald Reagan is in the last 50 years, Ronald Reagan is the most notorious person in the last 50 years.
That's interesting.
Last 60 years.
I gotta think about the time. We won't have a debate because I got some other folks I want to nominate.
I'm gonna say Ronald Reagan is top 2 and he's not 2.
Richard Nixon got to
man.
mention though. I got to figure out 50 years. You said 50 years, so 50 years. We in what 25?
Like 60. Because I'm gonna tell you like this, man. All the stuff he did with the Black Panthers, all the stuff he did in the 70s as the governor.
What about J. Edgar though? J. Edgar got to get some nominations too though.
J. Edgar is in the last 60 years. J. Edgar not.
That's what I said. I got to look at your time frame. I'm just nominating.
I'm just talking about from the time he became governor of California to now.
Okay.
So we gonna have a show. Top 10, top 5 destructive people to black communities.
Listen,
I nominate Richard Nixon.
J. Edgar Hoover is overall number 1. He might be.
All right. As long as we give him, I got a couple nominations. I nominate JP.
But in the last 60 years, I don't know, bro. If you look at all the policies, that have been enacted in the last 60 years, that Ronald Reagan was the reason why those policies were enacted.
Listen,
but I gotta go with Nixon. I'm gonna tell you why.
For those in the chat, who else got to get nominated though? Do we nominate Clarence Thomas too? Even though he's
Richard Nixon is Ronald Reagan is the Richard Nixon is the direct result of Lyndon Johnson signing the
Civil Rights
Acts in 1964, and then all of the legislation behind that. Richard Nixon became president because the country wanted a heinous white dude in office to try to roll back all of the stuff that
It's not history repeating itself, huh?
Yep. And then listen, it happens every time when black people start to make any progress in the country. White people are like, hold on, slow up.
Have y'all been seeing the slander against the soap operas, the black people on the soap operas? No. All the racists are upset about black people being on soap operas.
Man, listen, they don't think. Listen, man, they listen. White people going crazy because Beyonce is a country star. Beyonce was born in Houston.
All right, so listen, we're gonna take this behind the village, y'all.
All right, yeah, because I got some nominations. Lorraine says, don't forget, we got South Africans creating American political parties.
That's wild too.
I gotta read more into that.
Yeah, shout out to the other terrorist, other races, Elon. But,
I got some nominations though, man. I definitely got some nominations. That's an interesting point though, Corey. But I got some nominations, man.
Yo, man, listen, I'm talking about policy though. You talking about?
All right. Listen, we gonna cut this. Listen, find us in the village, blackwealthrebels.com. We appreciate everybody being here. We're going to have this conversation today. Let's get it, y'all.
Because I promise you, man, I lived through both. I'm living through both Reagan eras, bro. Like,